Hey guys, how's it going? We are outdoors today and we are recording how to exercise your reptile. Now, we should all know that exercise is important for any living thing, especially our reptiles. If they don't get their exercise, they get fat, they get unhealthy, and that is just bad for their overall well-being. So we want to make sure they get exercise, and keeping them in their enclosures all the time will not do that, no matter how big your enclosures are. And this is for most species. Obviously, I guess, like, for example, my Ackie Monitors, they do very well just staying in their enclosure and getting exercise. But they are very high active reptiles. A lot of reptiles tend to get lazy. And there are even ways, you can encourage reptiles that are high active, like Ackies, to get more active and to explore more and do other things. And that will be in this video as we look through some tips. But the number one tip I have right now, if you can do so, is to take your reptile outside. The natural UVB is just so great for them. They love exploring, they get so perked up outdoors. And it not only perks them up while they're out here, but Max, who is actually out here with me right now, perks up for the next few days from just being outdoors for like about an hour. She loves the natural UVB. I think the equivalent is like 3 hours of UVB indoors is equivalent to like 1 hour in the sun, something like that. But the UVB, the natural sun, is just great for them. It really gets them perked up once they adjust. Max just got put down, so she's adjusting right now. But that is my number one recommendation if you can do so, whether you have a harness, a baby carriage you're putting them in, as long as they get some natural UVB, that'll perk them up. And then I suggest letting them run around. If you can outdoors, that would be great, but even indoors after getting some natural UVB. The main point is if you could get them some natural UVB, that's the number one thing. Second, if you could get them running around outside, that's even better. They just love being outdoors in the natural environment. And it's just super great for them. So that's my number one recommendation for exercising your reptile. Now, following up, very relevant for number two, is letting them run around indoors. Now, free roaming is a great way for your reptile to get some exercise indoors when it's cold out, when it's rainy out, or maybe it's just too hot for you. That's why I just came inside. So, it's great to have them get some natural UVB. It's great to have them run around outside. But getting them some exercise inside is not bad. It's great for them. It's great to get them out of their enclosures. It's a new environment for them to explore. So I definitely recommend doing so. I have my reptiles run around in this room a lot. Pretty much any of them except my Ackies, just because I can't trust those guys. But yeah, I block them off with these extra little sheets of plexiglass I have where any of the corners are things they can get into. So I block them off using that, but they will just run around in here. My Tegu is going to start doing some free roaming outside of just this room, just because he's getting large. There's a video coming up on that. But, if you can't get them outside, you can't get that natural UVB, or you can get the natural UVB, and you can't let them run around outside, you just don't trust it or whatever, indoors is great as well. And doing a mix of both is great as well too, like I said. So it doesn't always have to be a backup. It's just as good as long as they're running around exploring. That's all you need for some good exercise. Now, number three, what's great for reptiles in their enclosure is giving them some things to work out on. Now, I don't mean a typical working out that us humans do, but stuff like climbing. That is a great way to get them some exercise. You can see chunky, hopefully gravid Dell here running around on some of her wood. My Ackies get plenty of exercise just going up and down these logs and stuff, running around their huge enclosures. And while I did say that you probably do want to take your reptiles out for some more exercise, there are species that are higher activity like Ackies that really don't need it as much. And that's because you can supply plenty of exercise equipment in their enclosures. Now, I know I also said that no matter how big it is, it's good to get them outside of the enclosure and stuff like that. Well, you want big enclosures for those that are high active that you're probably not going to take out. I do take out my Ackies from time to time, but they don't get much exercise when they're out because they are very fast, and if I don't have control over them and they want it to take off, that's, bye-bye Ackie. So anyway, for those higher active ones that you don't really trust running around, build them big enclosures. People usually recommend Ackies to be put in a 4x2 by 2 foot I don't recommend that. I think that's way too small for them, to be honest. I even think my enclosures, which are 6 by like 2.5 by 4 feet, are even too small for what, these guys could really handle. They really take advantage of every nook and cranny. They exercise a ton in there, and I would really like to do something more elaborate. So give these guys plenty of space. For those higher active ones, like I said, that you don't trust coming out, give them big enclosures, give them plenty of things to exercise out on. Hopefully they're probably a climbing species. Now, Ackies aren't arboreal, but they do enjoy climbing, so, they don't have to be arboreal to put in some logs like this. But obviously some might not even like logs like that, but those are species you could tend to usually take out of their enclosures. As another example, for my Beardy's enclosure, I have 2 stairs that go up to another level, and that acts as a good way to have her exercise. And, by the way, I just want to point out, she destroyed her salad today, so that's great progress on her cutting down on her weight and everything, and focusing more on her greens. So just wanted to put that in there. But yeah, for, Beardy's, not super active, and they do tend to get lazy. She's over there, but I think there's a glare, so you might not see her that well. This is a good way to get them exercise in their enclosures. These are obviously a species that you can take outside of their enclosure. They're not going to dart on you once some trust is built. You could do that as well, but I think this is a great option to give them their own ability to exercise, to put in a second level or something for them to climb on. Now, they really are kind of clumsy and not super graceful, so I wouldn't put anything kind of like I put in my Ackies, where it's like these thinner logs. They're not going to grip them as well, in my opinion. Some Beardies are talented, but not this graceful, majestic beast over there. So I think this is something good to put in, something that really tests their muscle. So I recommend this, and I think it's great. For my next tip in exercising your reptiles, it's to switch up the interior of your reptiles' enclosures a lot. Now, I like to do this every couple months with my Ackies enclosures because they're so elaborate. There's only so much I could do with my other enclosures, but I like to switch up the design of the wood and everything, just because it's a new territory to them. They explore. They really like to check out every crevice, like I was saying earlier. So doing something with all this wood that's different, they'll really take a grip to that. They'll explore it a lot. Look at this little one digging over here. I really hope this is a good sign that she's laying soon, because this is what they're supposed to do. But sorry, I keep going off on weird tangents. Anyway, so yeah, I like switching these up. It's just really great because they just like to explore so much. It's just new to them, so they'll do a ton of exercising when their enclosure is different. So I like doing that, and I think that's a great suggestion. Obviously, don't kill yourself doing it and doing it every week or something, because I would be so exhausted switching this up every week. But do it every few months or so. They'll really appreciate it. They'll really like it. Have stuff they can move around and interact with. That'll really get them going. And to quickly follow up on this concept, I really like adding in smaller accent pieces because it gives them an obstacle to go around or have to kind of go over. These little twigs over here and stuff. It gives her something that she has to climb over or duck under, and it just makes them use their muscles just a little bit more. Even just laying the stick on the ground or something like that, that's something they have to walk over, interact with, get through. So people, they mostly put in these little accents for aesthetic reasons, but I think it's great in an exercise as well. It just gives them something they have to deal with, they have to get around, and that'll make them use more muscle and more energy. Now, my last tip for the higher intelligent reptiles that are active and have hunting instincts, I recommend throwing in some invertebrates that they can go and find. Obviously, they have to eat invertebrates. I wouldn't do this with any live mice or anything that can pose some dangerous things for your reptiles, but throwing in some roaches for my Ackies or for my Tegu, something that they can go around and find and hunt for. They will dig and search. That's just instinctual to them. That will give them something, you know, to do to exercise with. It's good for their mental state too, to really have to problem solve and stuff. So all around, that's something great to do. I recommend doing that. I will throw in crickets. You know, that's a big part of my Accie's diet. And I just throw them in there. I'm actually considering getting rid of food bowls completely for my Ackies and just having them hunt. It's great for them mentally, like I said, and it makes them exercise and makes them search. They have to use their muscle, their brain, everything. It's just fantastic. So I recommend doing that. It is just a great thing to do. And, you know, those high active ones that will really go after them, they'll do it. You know, there's nothing too hard about that for them. They love that. They love to chase. It really gets them going, and that's what they're born to do. A quick part 2 to this for lesser active reptiles, not you, is I'm going to demonstrate with Max. What I do is, instead of throwing them in an enclosure and letting them run around, which would obviously not go with Max, she'd give up eventually because she's lazy, I like to make her work a little bit for it. So I'll put it on the ground. She'll, especially when it's like the first couple, really respond to it. And I really like to make it move and make her sort of come to it, work for it. She gets pissed off eventually, but it kind of makes her move around a little bit. And beardies, especially when they're getting, you know, fed, if you're feeding directly to them, they will adapt to just sitting there and not going after their food like that. It's just so easy with beardies for them to get lazy. So to make them work a little bit for their food is important. Otherwise, you're going to get a beardie who probably won't eat roaches that you give or whatever invertebrates you give to them right away unless you put it right in front of their face, and you're going to have to go through another period where you kind of almost starve them for a little bit for them to get active again. So don't get into that trend. It's very easy for them. Alright guys, so those are my tips for exercising your reptile. I think they're all really good ideas, and I would definitely do a mix of them. And yes, I did shave my beard and get a haircut in between video recordings of this, so this is not a whole new person. But anyway guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next couple days with the next video. See you guys then. Subscribe.